analyzing the voiced and unvoiced, that is identification task of that as well. So now we start with the process and the block diagram here. So we again have a clean speech, that is our normal speech, that is the original one. We again do the framing, that is the windowing. We take the small segments and then do the windowing, and then we analyze is it a voiced or unvoiced decision. And now I hope you have now got an idea. Voiced corresponds to those segments where your vocal tract come into the picture, and then it keep on held open and close, and the vibrations keep on moving. And unvoiced are those segments where the vocal tract is still like it is held close, and the air is just passed through it, and there is no vibration in the vocal tract. So now once you have the voiced and unvoiced decision here, this can be done by the machine learning task also. Like you can have a lot of data and then do the analysis, and then you can do that as well. So just to touch upon the machine learning also, you can have machine learning can be applied in this task as well. Although we use the very simple approach, that is a pitch. For unvoiced pitch is 0, for voice pitch is some values. For men's, it is from 60 to 120 hertz. For female, it is more than 200 hertz, something like this. So then once we have that decision with us, that is whether it's a voiced or unvoiced, we again do the LPC analysis, that is your AR modeling, where we compute 3 different aspects. I have actually combined the pole and formant in the AR modeling itself. So don't be confused that where actually the poles and formants computed. So don't be confused with that. It has been incorporated in the AR modeling itself. So after doing AR modeling, we compute the LP coefficient A, and from there we compute the poles and formant as we did in the previous case. Then we perform the smooth shifting of the formants. Here, this is the difference which you may observe from the previous case, that here we shift the formants smoothly, and that too only for the voice segments, not for the unvoiced segments. So you can see that the unvoiced segment is not being passed here, which was the case in the previous approach. Then again, we follow the same approach, exactly the same computation of the new poles and LP coefficient. And then we do the spectral masking. And the reason is quite clear, because if you do the direct synthesis, then you will end up with the artifacts like, as I told you, ka, u, ka. Like these sounds will always be there in the synthesis. So you don't want to have that, because it is quite irritating for the normals, and for hearing impaired it is more difficult for them to understand. So we have to be careful about this task to remove the artifacts which are generated, the shifting of the formats. So then we do the same overlap and add base, the traditional methods to synthesize our speech, that is a modified signal. But there is another approach which I have not talked about, that is unvoiced. So we have not done anything. We have just taken the unvoiced segments and then passed to the overlap add method. So it will just use in the synthesis, because it is like initial segments which were there in the clean speech. It is already the same segments will be present in the modified speech. So I'm just modifying only the voice segments. So this has also been asked, like in the literature, that why we did this. Actually, you may be wondering that why we not touched upon the unvoiced. So because the reason is quite clear. Unvoiced segments, if you do the shifting, you may end up with some artifacts which may be very, very lethal for the intelligibility. So that is what is been there in the literature, and we follow that actually knowledge, and we didn't do anything on the unvoiced segments. So this is the complete proposed method for the smooth shifting of the formants for the voice segments. Now I will give you the kind of an algorithm, or you can say some bit of mathematics involved in it. Now, one important aspect is smooth formant shifting. You may have a kind of like interpolation factor, which is explained here, that is also known as smoothing factor. So the input, what are the inputs for this algorithm? You may have the clean speech signal, that is your original voice. Then you have a smoothing factor, because an interpolation, as I told you, an example, 3 students, A, B, C, one is 60, second is 30, fourth is 50. So you may have an interpolation between A, B, and C. First, you have an interpolation between A and B, then you have an interpolation B and C. So it will be with the same interpolation factor, you actually do the smoothing across the time frames. So this is what is being done in this case as well. So these are the inputs. In framing, again, as I said, what is the need for framing? Can anyone tell? I think now this is clear. I can ask this question to anyone. Can anyone tell why do we require framing?
Quasi-stationary.
Yeah, that's very rightly suggested. Quasi-stationary, because speech is quite non-stationary, and so in order to make the characteristics constant, or you can have to work on those characteristics, you may have to make quasi-stationary by taking a small frame or segments, you can say, of 25 millisecond. So for that, you may use the Hanning window that is quite widely used in the signal processing. I think I don't want to touch upon it because you cannot just extract the signal of 25 millisecond. It's not like that. You may have to multiply a window with the signal and then extract that. If window is 1, it means the signal is exactly same. But if a window is smooth window, so better signal you can expect from there. After that, you will utilize some another method to decide whether you are having a voice or unvoiced decision. Now you have a window frame, that is a segment. Now how you will say that it is a voiced or unvoiced? So based on the pitch. So YAPT is a yet another algorithm for pitch tracking, because this is quite widely used method in literature for finding out the voiced and unvoiced decision. We also say it is VAD, voice activity detection. Okay, unvoiced segments, they are not being touched upon. As I already told, you can see from here, unvoiced segments have not gone through any process. So they have not, they are unaltered during the process. Voice segments, we first compute the pitch. We first compute the LP analysis, that is a particular time instant, the signal is dependent upon the past P samples. So LP analysis, you do that is by AR modeling, and then the order of the LP coefficient is taken 12. Generally in speech, we take 10 to 14 in between. So that is what being taken in this case also. Now, then what we did is like computation of the LP, poles and formants. For that, we may have to compute the spectrum of the LP coefficient. That is A, what you are computed here. Like you can see here, A's are computed. You take the spectrum of it. So that becomes capital A. And for each frame. So mth corresponds to the frame, f is the frequency. So you take the spectrum, and from here you compute the poles and the formants, which is exactly the same as being done in the previous case. So I just want to spend more time on what is new in this case. It's like the smoothing. So yeah, this is the case where we are more interested in. So now, again, as I told you in the previous case where we have a formants, we shifted by delta function, this delta. But that time delta was not smoothed. In this case, delta is smoothed here. Now, how? We first find out whether with, like, for example, a formant of yours I obtained for a particular frequency for a particular frame. If it is lying in that range, this range, if it lies in this range, that is again the delta function, then I will shift that. I got to know how much shift I need to make. For example, if it is 200, let's suppose your formant is 200. Then how much you need to shift? Can anyone tell? It is very simple. 200, at 200 you have 200 hertz. You need to shift. So this is what is mentioned here. So you first find how much shift you need to make. Now you got 200 here. Now I again find it for the next previous frame. Now this is 1th mth frame. You also take m minus 1th frame. Again, you find that shift. Then you do the interpolation between the two frames. That is the mth and the previous m minus 1. It is something like this. I have A marks is 60, B marks is 30. So I start with B, 30. That is this is 30. And let's say your factor is 0.7. So 30 into 0.7 plus 1 minus 0.7, it is 0.3 into 60. That is your previous one. So now you got a new delta function, which is different from the one which you have obtained in the previous case. Now that is the smoothed delta function that will be added into the that formats. Okay. Now this is how you will get the new shifted formats. For unvoiced segments, as I already told, you may not have to touch upon it because they are unvoiced segments, and that is the hypothesis in this case, that we will not touch the unvoiced segments. Any doubt till this point? Or any clarification you need, like how the smoothing is being done? It is very simple. You just have the delta values, and then you smooth it with respect to the smoothing function. So then, having said that we have smooth the smooth the delta function values. Then again, we follow the same process, exactly same as I already told here. You can see smoothing done. Then you have the new computations of the poles and the LP coefficients. So it is very simple. You may have to just follow the same process. The poles, that is amplitude of the original pole, and by the way, this is another different representation. It's the same as cos of this 2 pi f hat k comma m plus j sine 2 pi f hat k comma m. So this is again same. It is just it's a different representation. It's a not a it's a polar representation. So once you have this, now you will compute the modified LP coefficient from the new poles, as you can see here. And I will compute a hat, that is your modified LP coefficient from the original one. That is again, we follow the same process. Now, that is my last step is spectral masking. A bit of mathematics I'm explaining here so that it becomes more clarified that how the spectral masking is being done. So let's suppose this is the original spectrum, the short time Fourier transform of the original signal. Okay, now this is your module of the LP spectrum. That is the original one. That is what we have taken, A, F, comma, M. If you remember, we have A, that is your LP coefficient. We take the spectrum of it. We got the LP spectrum of the modified LP of the original LP coefficient. Now, I want to modify this spectrum now. So I said S hat, and you take the magnitude. As I already told, I'm going to modify the magnitude only while keeping the original phase. Okay. Now, this is my original magnitude. Then I modify I take the ratio of the modulus of the LP spectrum of the module of the modified LP coefficient divided by modulus of LP spectrum of the original speech, and then keeping the same phase. So this is how you will get the new spectrum, which is modified with respect to the original one. So this is what is being asked in the spectral masking. And the reason is, when you do not do this, you believe me, you will have a lot of artifacts, and that will be very, very annoying, as I already told, and it may cause reduction in the intelligibility. And for hearing impaired, they already have some bands are not working. If you do not do this, they may also end up with a lot of intelligibility loss, and they may be more irritating, and their mental health may be affected. So that is what the hypothesis is. Okay, now finally, once we have do the spectral masking, what we will be doing is, after remaining, is that again we modify the speech with we normalize the energies, and then we do the overlap and add base synthesis, as already explained in the previous case. Noted down one thing, as I already told here, the unvoiced segments are not being touched upon because this is the method which we propose, that is a smoothed shifting of the formants of the voice segments, not the unvoiced segments. Okay, I hope now the things are getting clearer and clearer to you. So now I will explain some results. So what were the results? Before that, I just want to tell upon that which delta function I have used compared to the previous method. So we have seen three different delta function. One was smoothed, that is your black curve, if you remember. One was red. The red one was a smooth. Black one was a smoother function, second, and one was RM. So we didn't use RM and we didn't use SM. We used the best one, that is your smooth function, second. So this is what we have taken in this case, because now we have got an idea, okay, which delta function is coming out better. So I just took that one. Okay. Now just to give you a brief idea about that, how what is the significance of smoothing. If you now, for that, I compute the filter structure, filter spectrum, like the vocal tract structure. Now, how the formants look like. So you may be wondering that I'm talking about formants. So how the formants look like. For example, I took the frame 1, frame 5, frame 8. So I'm just randomly chosen the voice segments only. Now you see that the blue one is the original formants. Okay, this is the very good structure. Second one, the black one, is the one formant shifting for voice segment followed by smoothing. That is the proposed method. Third one is the formant shifting for all segment without any smoothing. That is the previous method what we have taken. That is the previous method. Okay. Now you see that the red one is out of phase. Actually, you can see they are moving from the original. They have been modified significantly. but the black one is more closer to the blue one. Although we cannot have exactly the blue one, otherwise there is no modification. So we have to make sure that there is a trade-off. We should shift that much and it shift that much so that it should not degrade the intelligibility, and at the same time it should not be very close to the original one also. So there should be some modification also. So the black one is a better compromise, you can see, and you can see that it is comes quite closer to the blue one, but it's still different. But the red one is like completely out of scope. Like if it is one format is like original one is like around 100 hertz, it is coming out 200 hertz. So it is too much difference. So that is what the problem with the previous method. Then we observe that, okay, now we have got an idea. Then another way of finding out whether smoothing is really coming out to be some significant or not. So we computed the shifts delta function values. That is how much this big delta and small delta. That is, big delta means after smoothing, and small delta is before smoothing. So I just want to compare them actually, how they look like for a particular formant frequency F1 and F2. Okay, now you see that the red ones are without smoothing, so you can see how much shift is there. When you have the voice segments, and they are shifting only for voice segment, so you can see, oh, this is, my God, this is too much high. So that is why the artifacts were so visible, so audible in the red ones. And when you have smoothed it, you can see there is a very beautiful curve is coming out, and the smoothing is very beautifully done. And this is why the smoothing has an advantage over the non-smoothed delta function, because they are actually smoothing the shift, and the alterations of the formats are not varying too much now. Okay, so this is an explanation that the delta function obtained before and after smoothing should have some non-zero coefficient, obviously, because they are doing it for the voice segments, and smoothing effect result in a very small non-zero values for the delta F. That is there is a missing part, delta cap, big delta, for the transition when unvoiced segment. Why? That is very, very obvious also. I'm not touching anything on the unvoiced part. Okay, now when I'm going to transition from voiced to unvoiced, so you have something very high and some zero. And this, when you smooth it, means interpolate. So this zero becomes some value. So that is what is being explained here. There will be some non-zero values for unvoiced segments. Okay. Now another attempt was made to show that there is a significance of smoothing in the artifacts or not. So we observed the transitions now. Now we have seen the voice segment, unvoiced. Now we want to see whether when we move from voiced to unvoiced and unvoiced to voiced, what is the impact on the filter structure? That is the formats. So this is what been told here. Again, original is given by blue, red one is given by non-smoothened, and black one is like our smoothed approach and performed only on the voice segments. So you can see the black curve is again very close to the blue curve, and the red one is again out of scope. So this is again a very, very was obvious, because formats, when you are being smoothened, so it becomes closer to the original and the naturalness is preserved. Another thing is that when the unvoiced segment, this is quite obvious, because unvoiced does not change for the smoothened, but for the voice it is, but for the red curve, which is the previous approach, you see there is a changes. So this is where the artifacts were lying. You are changing the unvoiced segments also. But in my case, that is as a proposed method, they are not doing it. I hope this is clear to everyone. If not, then I can clarify if some doubts are there. Maybe I can stop a minute. If you have any doubts, anyone? Hello? Any queries or any doubts?
No, sir.
Okay. So I'll start the next approach. I hope you got an idea that how the smoothing is so effective. Now the next approach is the next modification. What we have proposed is non-uniform timescale modification. As I already told, when I was in France, it was difficult for me to understand what other person was speaking, because they were speaking very fast. So in order to, this is where the idea comes from actually. So then I realize, okay, if I ask them to speak slowly, I will be able to understand much better because I'm new to the French. So this is what is being done here. But a slight modification, because the time scale is already been there in the literature, but non-uniform. Non-uniform means you have a voice segments, you have unvoiced segments. But in the literature, voice and unvoiced are being scaled up. Means they have been they have been slowed up by same amount. Means if I have a voice segment, I'll slow down it by, let's say, point 0.5, and for voice or unvoiced also I'll do the 0.5. So but here in this case I did a different approach where I do the non-uniform time scaling. I'm not the scaling up the voice segments and unvoiced segments by same amount. No, I'm just taking it a different factor, and that is where the novelty lies in this case. So just to brief you, there is there is a strong impact if you lengthen the vowels, that is your voice segments. It has more intelligibility than the consonants. So this is where this hypothesis lies here. So we scale the voice segment more than the unvoiced segments. Okay. So, and it has been clearly mentioned here, by time scaling the vowel, you will have better intelligibility than the consonants. However, you may have to make sure that when there's a transition from voice to unvoiced and unvoiced to voice, the transition should remain the same. And this is what I've already told. The slowing down the recorded speech can help to understand the recorded notes, and even the blind people can actually make use of it quite beautifully. Now, here is a block diagram of the non-uniform time scale modification. So again, why we did it framing, I think all of you have been now aware of that speech is quite non-stationary. So we do that for small segments. So we take the 25 millisecond window. Then we take the voice and voice decision, again using the pitch analysis. Then I did the Pratt. Pratt is another very useful method for analyzing the pitch marks. And for unvoiced, since unvoiced do not have any pitches, so we'll take the fixed analysis marks. Okay. Now, once I got the analysis pitch marks, TA, then I shift them by a different amount. I'll scale them by a different amount. By voiced, I'm scaling it by beta, and for voiced, for unvoiced, I'm scaling it by alpha. So, and beta and alpha are not same. Beta is more than alpha in general sense. And then I'll do the pitch synchronous overlap and add based method, because this is different from the overlap add. Now you have a pitches also. Now you have to take care of the pitches. Okay. So just I've already explained this, so I don't have to explain again. Inputs are clean: alpha unvoiced scaling factor, beta voice scaling factor, and framing, I think you are aware of. Voice unvoiced detection, we have already talked about. Now, this is important: analysis pitch marks. So pitch marks means in the segment, I want to find where is my first pitch. Means with what frequency you are speaking. That is what the pitch is all about. That is a fundamental frequency. So I have to find what is my first fundamental, then next fundamental, then next, that is harmonics. I have to find the harmonics. This is in a very layman language. Okay. Now, first pitch marks is obtained at T0 minus T by 2 to T0 plus T by 2. Means T0 is the center. T0 is the center of that signal, and T0 till left is T0 minus T by 2, T0 and the right is T0 plus T by 2. So I have covered everything. Then I shift, next pitch marks is a search in the range T0 minus 1 by 2T to T0 minus 0.8T. And also from T0 plus 0.8T, that is for the respectively next one and the previous one, I'll find out till I'll reach to the end of my segment, the end of my signal. Okay, in that particular frame. Okay, that is a window. Now, once I got the TAs, that is your pitch marks, analysis pitch mark, I'll now shift them. I'll now form the synthesis pitch mark by a different amount. Again, you see that the first synthesis pitch mark is same as that of the analysis one. TA starting point is TS. Now, next TS is obtained for the next frame is very simple. TS m minus 1, that is your previous one, plus a factor alpha, and TA and that's your analysis difference between the current one and the previous one. Similarly, you do the for the voiced frames. I hope the things are clear to you, because here the maths is very simple. It is very explanatory. Once I got TS and TS for both voiced and unvoiced, then I do the reconstruction. of the non-uniform time scale signal using PASOLA. PASOLA stands for pitch synchronous overlap and add synthesis. Okay, anyone, any doubt? I think someone want to speak upon it. Any doubt is there? Hello? I'm hearing some sound, so I think if someone has some doubt. Is there any doubt or something? Or? Okay, I'm assuming that there is no doubts. Okay, now a very important point. Now, when you time scale it, when you time scale the signal, you will always have more energy than the original one. For example, you have 1 second speech, the original one. Modified is 1.5 second. Now you see that 1.5 second has more energy or 1 second. Obviously, 1.5 seconds. So you cannot normalize the energy as it was the case in the previous two methods. Now, what you will do, you will normalize the variations of the synthesized speech. And that is the variance you will normalize, and then it is how the same variance, but the energy has to be different. So after that, you will get the non-uniform time scale signal. Hello, I think there's some disturbances there. Okay, so continuing on the next approach. So this approach is non-uniform time scale modification. So the next approach is energy redistribution. Again, this is a very useful approach. So it says that, let's suppose I have a sound, voice sound and unvoiced sound. Okay, now the voice sound, you have already done this exercise, A, B, E, O, U kind of. And if you play the, if you put your hand again and you speak sh, sha, sha. So you see that it has very less energy. So this is the case. The unvoiced have less power than the voiced segments. And when they've been played in the noisy environment, those sounds are completely lost. A, E, I, O, U will be able to hear also because they have some energy. But those unvoiced sounds have very less energy, so they will be completely lost. So in order to improve the intelligibility, energy is need to be redistributed between the voiced and unvoiced segments. I'll take the energy from the voice segments and pass on to the unvoiced. It's something like this. I have some money. I'm having some money. My friend does not have any money. So I'm lend some money so that we can come on the same stage. So this is what the example is being done. Exactly what is being done. The boosting the unvoiced segments. Okay. However, one important thing is that the overall energy should remain the same as that of the original. Otherwise, it's something like this. You have more money than the original one. It is not the case. You can only redistribute it. So energy can be redistributed. It doesn't mean that it has more energy than the original signal. So it has to be the same. Okay. So if we boost the unvoiced segments and reduce the voice segments, we limit the harshness of the sound. Means the pleasantness, the naturalness will preserve, and you will be able to hear the sound very pleasant. Okay. So this is where, so you may again have some scaling factors for boosting the unvoiced segments and to reduce the voice segments. So you may have some the scaling factors in this case. Now the final approach, that is the fifth method. Now we have talked about the Forman shifting. We have talked about the smooth Forman shifting. We have talked about the non-uniform time scale modification. We have talked about the energy redistribution. These are four methods which we have talked about now. Now the final method, which is the combination of all together. That is it consists of non-uniform time scaling, smooth shifting, and energy redistribution between the voiced and unvoiced segments. So this is the novelty of this work where I've combined all together. And believe me, when I did this experiment, it has actually better results than original Forman shifting, and it has improved the intelligibility for hearing impaired persons. And you will see the results also. So approach is exactly the same. What I'm going to do is I'll first frame the signal, then I'll take the voiced unvoiced decision. Unvoiced segments are above where I have not touched upon it. This is smooth Forman shifting. I have not done anything. This is for the non-uniform time scaling. I hope you are recalling it. Just now we have done that. And for voiced, we have done the smooth Forman shifting. And for voiced, we have again taken the Pratt analysis pitch mark and then scaled it by beta. And finally, we have combined together. It's just like a combination. It's just you say that, okay, I have A method, B method, C method. I've just combined all together. But one special thing is there. Once you have the spectral masking, I have taken the energy redistribution also, which was not done in the smooth formant shifting. So this is where you can shift the energies between the voiced and unvoiced also. And then finally, you do the pitch synchronous overlap at base method. I hope the things are clearer to you now. So I'm just going through it because this is already known to you. Okay, now I'm just explaining the algorithm in very briefly. So the first thing is like we have an inputs. Again, what are the inputs? We have the original speech signal. I have the unvoiced gain factor, that is for energy redistribution, lambda, mu, smoothing factor, alpha and beta. Now, again, I do the framing. And again, I'll do the YAP to do the voiced and unvoiced. Then I again, this is actually the combination. So you don't have to worry about it because it's a combination. What you have already understood, it is combining together. So I again compute the analysis pitch marks for the voiced using the Pratt, and for unvoiced, it is the fixed. Then I compute the synthesis pitch marks, and then I do the smoothing of the formants. And after that, I'll do the energy redistribution because that is the last step. And then I'll do the reconstruction finally. Okay. And then I will normalize the overall energy in this case because there you have smooth formant shifting. That's why I did the overall energy the normalization. Finally, I get the modified speech signals. Okay. Now, I was talking about since the beginning that when I am not going to touch in the intelligible, I'm not going to touch my noise. That is what my the starting point, the difference between the intelligibility and the quality. Where I say, okay, in quality, you do the background subtraction, you do the noise cancellation. I'm not doing it actually. I'm just looking at the noise. So this is my noise actually. So you can see that up till 1000 hertz, there is energy. After that, the energy goes down significantly. That is what the idea in development of the delta function. So you will be wondering that why my delta function was only up till 1000 hertz. I hope you got a point now because noise is not present after 1000 hertz. So why do we need to have a bigger delta function? Like the delta function range should be from 0 to 1000 hertz because there is no energy or there is no energy component or there is a different energy in the noise I'm talking about. So the 1000 hertz after that, the noise is not present. So I will restrict my delta function. This is very simple. This is actually just like common sense. So just looking at this, you see that after 1000 hertz, there is no energy difference. It's completely going down. So this is where we use this knowledge and try to develop the delta function based on this statistics. Okay. I hope you got the point. And this is obtained, I forget to tell, this car noise was obtained at 130 km/h. We have that setup in France where I was working. So we have this setup where this simulator and a dummy person is sitting and the car was running at 130 km. That simulator was there. Then what are the different methods we have computed? We have taken energy. ER stands for energy redistribution. NUTSM, you know that. SSFE, I've already told. And FTSFE is like the combination. Okay, so this is a combination method. And we compare with the no modification method. And we have taken the database from the CD recordings from the CND. That is the one of the well-known methods for the development of the database. So they have 100 sentences of the French. They in the French one. So then I have recorded the car noise at 130 km. I already told. Then I computed the parameters. So yeah, these are very important point because you may have some parameters. You might have seen that in the beginning. So what should be the parameter? I have obtained heuristically for this particular noise condition. If the noise is going to be changed, these parameters are really going to be changed. And that is what our next we have started here in this like in IIT Jammu, this finding out this parameter by machine learning. So where you can actually use your AI ML approach to find a better way or do some optimization to find those parameters. For example, this is done by hand or by hit and trial method. So in voice segment was scaled by 1.4, unvoiced by 1.2, smoothing was 0.66. Unvoiced gain factor, as I already told, unvoiced has to be more energy than the voiced. So 1.4, voiced was 0.9. Okay. So these are again being used in the combined method. So now we are coming very closer to our end of this session, where we actually have explained it in very details, like what are the different methods we have compared. In the previous method we have compared with the different delta functions. Here we have to take one delta function, but we have a different methods altogether. So this is the difference between the Foreman shifting method and this approach. So I have computed the SNRs at different SNRs. I think I've taken very low SNR because that is where the novelty lies. At a very low SNR, if you're able to improve the intelligibility, then your method has been able to improve the performance. Okay. Now, so I started with like the same four methods: SII, PESQ, LLR, WSS. So SII stands for Speech Intelligibility Index. So this is actually the intelligibility measure. It range from 0 to 1. Higher you move on to the towards 1, better is the method. For example, you see that at 10 dB, it is coming out to be 0.98. It means approximately 1. And this is very, very intelligible. So you don't have to modify at all. So this is why where no modification at higher SNRs, we don't need to modify because they are already very intelligible. So you don't need to modify at all in those cases. So I'll just start from the very low SNRs. So proposed method has been able to improve it significantly for the very, very low SNRs and compared to the other methods. So you can see that SSFV is being able to show the better methods. And this is FTSFV, that is your combination. It is not showing bad also, but its quality is able to improve. This means that while able to improve the intelligibility, I'm able to improve the quality as well. So this is again a very big advantage. Your quality is also being maintained. At the same time, your intelligibility is being improved. Okay. Now, PESQ is perceptual evaluation of speech quality. So I'm just give a brief idea about that. What is this PESQ is all about? You just think about it. When I'm playing the sounds to you, how much you are able to hear it from 0 to 5 range. When it is very good, you are able to understand everything, you rate 5. Okay, this is my best one. When you hear and you don't hear it and you understand anything, it is you closer to 0. So this is what the range is all about. You see, higher the SNRs, the PESQ is more. You can see PESQ scores are increasing. This means that the sound is able to become more quality, is become more better, and also become more understandable to you. Okay. Log likelihood ratio is another method which we used in this case, and I observed that these two methods, LLR and WSS, are like that's distance measure. Like I found a distance, my signal and the modified signal, how much closer to it, whether they are very close or not. The naturalness, they actually tells the naturalness of this. Okay. So lower these values, the lower the LLR and WSS, better is the method. Means it tells that, okay, it is very closer to my original one. So you can see that the proposed method has the lowest value compared to other methods. So this again an advantage for our method, where I can say, okay, I modified the sound, but when I'm actually taking the objective analysis, they're coming very close. It's to the original one. So this means that the naturalness is preserved. Okay. Any doubt, any confusion, any queries till this point? I can wait for a minute, then we can proceed further. Do you have any doubts, participants?
No, sir.
Okay. So I hope you have got an idea that when I'm moving with the higher SNR values, means when the SNR is become very positive, like 0, +5, +10. So there you can do not have, you see that the intelligibility is almost same for all the methods. So what do you analyze by this? Can anyone tell what did actually this correspond? Do we really require to modify the sound? Yes or no? Do we require when at high SNR the sound itself is very intelligible? Do we need to modify the sound? What is your common sense talk about it?
No, sir.
Yes or no? It is no, quite clearly, because we do not require to modify the sound when it is already intelligible. When it is not, then it makes sense. Yeah, at very low SNRs, we need it to modify. But when it is already been intelligible, why do we require again? So there is no point doing it. So this is what I was talking about. Okay. Now, at high SNRs again, when we increase a further higher SNRs, there is no need. You see the numbers. It is approximately 1, so it is very, very clear understanding. Okay. Now, I've already explained this. The best method is coming out to be FTSFE, that is your combination, where you are able to improve the intelligibility while preserving the quality. Okay. Yeah, this is already I've told there is no need to modify the original sounds when it is played at very high SNRs, because at that moment the sound itself is very intelligible. And if you do that, the artifacts will be appear and it becomes more and more audible to you. Yeah. Now again, I have computed for the another method which is known as mutual information. That actually tells that how much the sound is like closer to the original one. So I computed the modified and compare with the original one. So higher these values, higher this MIP and MIR values, better is the method. So you can again see that this is surprising that at very low SNR, NUTSM is much better. That is what was surprising to us at that moment. Why? Because when you slow down the sound, when you slow down the pace of your speech, the thing become more and more understandable. And that is what been hearing impaired people told us. This is what the feedback they given to us, that if you speak very slowly, the mental retarded, or you can say the mental health of the patient, is better in that case, because they are able to understand the speech much better than the normal speed. So this is another very important aspect. You may also look into it in future, because people have not touched upon it much on this the time scale modification. Okay. Now again we observe the similar observation that if you increase the SNR, the scores are coming approximately same for no modification and for other modifications. It says that you do not require to modify when you are working at very high SNRs. Okay. So we saw that FTSFE has illustrate higher scores for both the methods, MIP and MIR, in comparison to other modification. Now the third one and the last one is the subjective evaluation. Means it actually explains that, okay, now I will be able to play the sounds to the participants, like to those who came for this evaluation, that like for hearing impaired. So I have like around 31 French speaking people who are able to understand the sound, and out of this, I think I have 19 subjects we were hearing impaired. 19 subjects were for normal, and 12 subjects were impaired in this case. Okay. Now those 12 were like severely having hearing impaired, that they do not have the proper hearing. So they were able to happy with the sounds which when they played it to them. So that is what they say. Okay, it's becoming so easy for them to understand. So their condition were better in while modification, which was not the case if we play the original sounds. So this was surprising, and it was also exciting to us that yes, this algorithm is able to improve it for the hearing impaired patients. Now again, method followed was again the same, hearing in noise test. So I just explained the protocol. Protocol says that I will first play the sound to you at very low SNR, minus 30 dB. This is the SNR where nothing is understandable. Nothing is understandable. When at this moment you will not be able to hear anything, then you will ask, okay, I could not hear anything. Then the experimenter, those who are taking the data, they will make it at minus 28. Even if that is difficult, we will make it minus 26. Yeah, I'm in a meeting actually. Okay. Then it is minus 26. Then it is minus 24. Then like this till the time they are able to understand the sound, and they have to repeat it loudly what they heard, and they have to repeat it. So once this is done, then we will change the sentences also, because I do not want to have the training effect. Because if you're able to hear something again and again, you have learning effect. So I change the sentences, and from there I then compute the new sentences and played it again at that moment where they stopped. Now after that again, if they are able to hear, I'll reduce the SNR. Let's say minus 24 they are able, then I put minus 26 next sound. If they're able to hear this, then minus 28, like this. I keep on do by 2 dB change. By this, I am able to get the SNR values. What are those SNR values where they are able to hear it? Then I take the average of it and then compute the speech reception threshold for all the methods. I'll play it one by one, 5 methods. Then I got the SRT. I just take the difference between the SRT of this no modification, this case, and other methods. And if this relative threshold is positive, then the method is set to improve the intelligibility. And that is what been shown in the previous case also. And you can also hear the same thing here. You can see also the same thing, the positive and number of negative relative threshold for different participants. So here we have 31 participants. So you can see the proposed method is able to improve the intelligibility for 23 participants. I cannot know, I do not know how much was the numbers for the hearing impaired and normal hearing, but yes, this was the total number out of 31. So you can see 23 out of 31. It's a good number actually. So it's major participants were able to improve the intelligibility, and there may have some hearing impaired also. Okay. And only one participants were not able to hear it properly. And compared to other method, you see this method was much better. So the positive value of this relative threshold is always better. If someone wants to work on this, they can actually find even a better way of doing it. But this is what we have found was a much better way to identify the evaluation of the subjects. Okay. And even if you may be happy to see that between 2 to 3 dB improvement, 10 participants were able to do that. 10 participants means 10 subjects. Similarly, if you see that RT greater than 3, so you have 6 subjects where you can see the improvement was observed. So this is much better than the other 2 methods. So this is already I've explained. Yeah, then finally I computed this statistical analysis, because this is very important, because these days reviewers ask a lot of the statistics. What is the numbers actually? Mean, standard deviation, minimum, maximum. So you can see that the proposed method, this is actually, we have done it for hearing impaired and normal. Here we have a numbers also. You can see that very clearly. The proposed method, this combined method, is able to improve much better mean. You can see there. This is for hearing impaired, and blue is total, and this one is normal one. Normal one, you can see it's much better than the other methods. So you can see and the standard deviation also, if you look at, is somewhat higher, but for hearing impaired, it's much better than the other methods. So this is again a very good improvement. And this is also very, very, very good point that minimum is coming out to be positive. So that is a bigger improvement. You can observe anything. So this is where our methods were able to improve the majority of listeners. We have also computed the spectrograms. Spectrogram says the time frequency analysis of the signal. So we have original sound, that is no modification. Then we have original plus noise. You can see nothing was observed here. These are the formants actually. You can see that it's been overshadowed by noise. Then ER is also not been able to improve. That is your energy redistribution. Then NUTSM, that is your time scale. That is also not even. But you can see the highlighting of this smooth formant shifting and this combination. You can see this highlights. There are more highlighted than this method. That is noisy method. This clearly shows that the formants are much visible in this case than in the case with the original methods. So noise has masked the low frequency spectrum, and that is where you can see that the spectrum has reduced significantly. The intelligibility has been reduced significantly. So I've already explained this. So now I finally conclude my talk here. Like we actually have done a lot of analysis on the hearing impaired persons, where we found out that the proposed method, that is a combined fusion method, has been able to improve it significantly in comparison to previous methods. Previous method means our own methods, which have been not been able to improve it. But there was still scope of improvement. This is not yet finished. Means there is a lot of scope of still improvement, that we can find a better methods, and we have those parameters can be tuned much better way, and we can actually do a much more like a deeper analysis to find that how to further improve the hearing, the intelligibility of hearing impaired. And at the same time, now the next task is, can we also say that then improving intelligibility has improved the mental health? So answer is yes here, because the hearing impaired people were able to benefit from these algorithms. I think that is why the mental health of those patients, of those hearing impaired peoples, were better than the previous methods being proposed in the literature. So yes, there is a lot of scope of improvement. This is an open research problem. So we started with this hypothesis: can we improve the intelligibility? Can improving the intelligibility can improve the mental health? So answer to some extent is yes, but the analysis still, you may have to do it further and more deeper analysis. So where you can actually come up with a better methods. Not only these methods, there are many other methods which you can combine and also link with the mental health. So thank you very much. And maybe if I have time, then I can show you some demonstrations also. So give me some time, just a minute. Meanwhile, if you have any queries, I will be happy to answer your queries actually. Do you have any queries, please? Hello. Meanwhile, I'll try to arrange for this demonstration. If you have any queries, please let me know.
Sir, there is one query from Sanjeev Dubey. Sir,
Yes.
is there any effect of echo in this current system?
Echo has not been taken because we have just played in the terms of noise. Echo would have been also an additional thing which we may look into the future. Maybe someone of you may, if you're interested, can take this problem also, like how reverberation, for example, in a noisy, in an open environment, in the room environment, where a lot of echo comes. For example, if you say Karan, it will say Karan, something like this. It comes. So this actually is an echo. You have a spaciousness in the sound. So yeah, that is a very good point. We may look into it in the future, but yes, for now it is not there. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. There is no more queries in the chat box. So participants have, is there any query? So I think there is no more query from the participant side.
Thank you very much. I just try to play some sounds. If let me try. Let me try some sounds, and I don't know whether it will come or not. I'm sorry. I think there is some sharing issues is coming out. Maybe it's not possible now because I think there's some sharing issues are coming. Maybe I have some sounds, then I can let me try. I can play some sounds for you. Sorry for you waiting.
Yeah, good afternoon, Karan sir.
Good afternoon, madam. How are you?
Yeah, I'm fine, sir. How are you?
I'm good.
I think, sir, we can stop the session here.
Yeah. Just
If
I'm just
the
trying if there is some sounds I
okay,
have. If
okay,
not, then I'm sorry for
okay,
waiting
okay.
you.
No,
Yeah.
no, no, no issues, sir. No issues.
So I have some sounds. Let me see if it is. Can you hear something, participants?
Sir, you are muted.
Sorry. Can you please tell me whether you hear this?
Le coq réveille le village.
Yes, yes. Now, sir, it's
Yeah, it's a
audible.
French sentence. So now I'll play the sound at very this is the original one. Okay, the Le Coq Réveille le village.
Le coq réveille le
It's
village.
a clean sound. Then I'll play the noisy one.
Le coq réveille le village.
Or it's not noisy one. Let me do one thing. Oh, this is okay. Yeah, sorry, it is -8 dB. So that is why you cannot hear anything. So I'll do this.
Le coq réveille le village.
No, this is not the one. Yeah, this one is better. So yeah, I'll play the original one. Okay, and output is. So you may be able to hear a slightly better than the original one, but not sure whether you realize it or not.
Le marchand vend des bonbons.
So this is the modified. This is the after noise. In the noise, you can hear this.
Le marchand vend des bonbons.
Yeah. So this is how you can actually see the sounds are actually been able to improve it in the noisy environment. I'm sorry, I would have planned to show this demonstration, but I'm not able to share it, and I'm extremely sorry for this. So maybe you may end this session if you want. If you do not have any other further questions.
Okay, any queries, any doubt, participants? Okay, then I think, sir, we should stop now. Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you very much. I'm very thankful to you that you have taken time out of your busy schedule and enlighten us with your knowledge. I think the session was very interesting and it will definitely help our participants to enhance their research skills. So I'm very thankful to you. Thank you, sir. Okay, before closing the session, I would like to request all the participants to kindly switch on your cameras because we want to take one group photograph for the session with sir. So kindly switch on your cameras for a few minutes. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you all the participants. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. it's a request to all the participants to kindly adhere to the guidelines, because as you know that the attendance is very 80% attendance is required for the certificates. So please follow the guidelines. Kindly join the sessions on time. Thank you. Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all. Okay, thank you.
Bye bye.